Here we go. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. We are live by Chat Sports. I am your host, Jay Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. And as always, welcome in, faithful. It is NFC Championship game week, and we have another loaded show coming your way. We were live on Saturday for Niners-Packers. We were live on Sunday for Buccaneers-Lions. We were live yesterday. We're live today. You got to be built different, and there's so much to talk about. On today's loaded show, are the Niners doomed without Deebo Samuel if he cannot play in this matchup against Detroit on Sunday? Could San Francisco be losing some key assistants? We'll be diving into that in particular on the offensive side of the football. We're also going to go through some key matchups to watch Sunday's game, San Francisco-Detroit at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara for the right to play in Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. First, let's get the comment section going. Awesome to see a great audience here so far. 271 people with us right now in the early portion of the show. But where is the 49er Report gang watching from? Let me know in the chat. We'll start to give you some shout-outs here. See a couple of real ones. Gina G, Words of Wisdom, Tom Daly. They have those notifications on. Therefore, whenever we go live, they get notified. Be like them. Reno, Nevada, Vegas, Spokane, Washington, Arizona, Virginia Beach, Riverside County in the house, Hutto, Texas, Arizona, Tacoma, Washington, SoCal, Hampton, Virginia, San Bernardino, Durham, North Carolina, Perry, Missouri, Western Massachusetts, Los Angeles, Stockton, California, Ohio, Utah. Look at the chat right now. The Big Apple is representing the faithful in every pocket of America and worldwide. And we are so thankful that all of you are hanging out here with us. Here's our super chat menu for today. You being here, commenting, subscribing, liking the video, sharing the video, that means that you're a real one. But if you want to donate, send a tip to the show, we're down to have some fun. $5 super chat will give you a beer cheers. $10 gets you on the badass Toby Willis helmet, where you get a gold sticker to join your fellow real ones. $20, we're doing some smelling salts to get ready for Sunday. $50, a playoff punch beer bong. And if you send in a $100 super chat, you enter the Gold Mine Hall of Fame. We have almost 300 people watching live. This is what I want to do right now. How many likes can we pick up in the next minute? I'm going to put a minute on the clock. How many likes can we pick up in the next minute? Starting right now, where are the real ones at? And if you love the show, you want to support the program, then make sure you hit that thumbs up icon. Like the video. Recent commenter club, Anita Martinez, Chris, Fendley, him, Luigi, Words of Wisdom, Chris, Lions Talk. Gonna be an amazing Sunday. That's our guy Micro Mike, who's doing just a killer job covering the Detroit Lions front every day, year round, under the Chat Sports umbrella. We love Micro Mike here at the company. Chris saying, Chase, you're my boy. Let's go. What up, Chris? The boy Coop. Bang, bang, Niner gang. We're up past 100 likes. That is certainly good to see. Our first segment, are the Niners doomed without Deebo? Are they going to lose some assistance? And then our second segment takes a look at some of the premier matchups in this game coming up on Sunday in the NFC Championship game. 5 more seconds to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video before we officially get started. The more likes that we get, the more people who find the stream, the more fun that we will have. And of course, as I said, if you want to send in a super chat, we're not worthy, but we appreciate you. All right, let's do it. San Francisco. The 49ers Report begins right now. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, are the Niners doomed without Deebo Samuel? And is San Francisco on upset alert if he cannot play in this game against the Lions in the NFC Championship game because of that shoulder injury? Also coming up, is San Francisco going to lose a couple of key assistant coaches? First, can we get to 113,000 subscribers before Sunday's game? I think that we can get there because We're the largest independently run Niners channel on YouTube, but there are Niner fans worldwide who either haven't subscribed or haven't found us yet. So hit that sub button if you want daily coverage of this football team in season, off season. That's all informative, entertaining, and insightful. Let's get to the latest here on Deebo Samuel and lay the foundation for what we're talking about on the program here today. According to Adam Schefter, 50-50 on whether Deebo is going to play against Detroit. The good news is no fracture in his shoulder. Same shoulder that he injured earlier this year, which caused him to miss 3 weeks and a total of 2 games. But Kyle Shanahan did say, we're not really sure if he's going to be able to play because he's still in a lot of pain. And obviously, if the Niners are without Deebo Samuel, it's a massive concern because Deebo literally defines what a game changer is. He's a uniquely gifted and built player who is a threat for a house call at any moment he gets his hands on the football. And the Detroit Lions are a very talented football team. If you want the Lions front for coverage this week, Detroit Lions Talk with Micro Mike, that's our Chat Sports Lions channel. You can go to see what he's saying on that front. But I'm telling you this right now, right here on the show, that the Lions can match the Niners with talent at many positions on the football field, especially their offensive unit against the Niners' offensive unit. And I think that this could be a shootout. And if the Niners are without Deebo Samuel, it's harder to keep up with Detroit in a shootout without a premier player who in 2021 was an All-Pro, and this year, when he's been on the field, has looked every bit of the All-Pro that he was a couple of years ago. As for what he brings to this offense, very unique versatility and a guy who can play in the slot. He can play X wide receiver. You can also line him up in the backfield at running back, and he's basically a shoo-in for 5-6 yards per carry anytime he carries the football. And then, since he's come into the league in 2019, he leads all NFL wide receivers in yards after the catch. And when Kyle Shanahan utilizes him in this offense, he knows that he can use Deebo on a variety of routes, as well as plays. We're talking crossers. We're talking long shots. We're talking out routes, but also some trickery, jet sweeps, end arounds, bubble screens to get some blockers out in front. You can do so much within your offense with a player like Deebo Samuel. And he is a threat to take it to the end zone anytime he gets his hands on the football. And because he can line up anywhere, and because of the threat that he poses toward opposing defenses, he causes headaches for defensive coordinators. When DCs are planning for this Niners offense, they're thinking about number 23. They're thinking about number 85. They're thinking about Brandon Ayuk. They're thinking about number 19. And when he's on the field, he makes San Francisco even more incredibly deep than they already are. You look at what he's done over the last 4 years, this year, pretty solid season, 60 catches, almost 15 yards per catch, 37 carries, 6.1 yards per carry. Last year, he even admitted, wasn't a great year for Deebo Samuel because the contract situation kind of affected his play. He was a little bit out of shape. He looked slow. He looked sluggish. He didn't have that type of breakaway speed and the explosion that he had in 2021, which is what set him up for getting that bag when he reeled in 77 catches, 18 yards per catch, 59 carries, and 6.2 yards per catch in 2020. Injury-shortened season after a really good rookie campaign in 2019. The point here is that he's one of the more unique and gifted players in the National Football League. But some of the discourse that I've been seeing and some of the talk from some of these national media talking heads has gone a little bit too far. Stephen A. Smith saying the Detroit Lions are going to win this game if Deebo Samuel cannot play. Is it impossible for the Niners to win without Deebo? No. Yes, he makes this team more dangerous. Yes, he makes this team more multiple. But we're going to act like the Niners still aren't loaded? Brandon Ayuk this year was one of the best wide receivers in football. Career year with 75 catches, 1,300-plus yards, and 7 touchdowns. George Kittle had his first 1,000-yard season since 2019, as Brock Purdy was able to elevate both Ayuk and Kittle, and Kittle had 6 touchdowns this year. And then you have Christian McCaffrey. This isn't including what he does through the air, but on the ground, 272 carries, number one in the NFL, almost 1,500 rushing yards, number one in the NFL, 14 touchdowns, 21 for the season, and that tied Raheem Mostert for the most touchdowns for all non-quarterbacks in the National Football League. And you go back to what Stephen A. Smith said, the way that he's looking at all of you, that's kind of how I'm looking at Stephen A. Smith. Really? He said the San Francisco 49ers will not beat the Lions without Deebo Samuel. I don't believe that to be true. Here's what Stephen A. had to say precisely. The Niners are not beating the Detroit Lions without Deebo Samuel. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think they need Deebo to advance to get to the Super Bowl. You don't have a snowball's chance to beat Kansas City or Baltimore without Deebo, and I don't think Detroit either. Stephen A. Smith right there, pretty definitive. Now, I will say, Deebo understands what's at stake. He understands his meaning to this offense. Yes, he did injure that same shoulder earlier this year with the hairline fracture and missed 2 games. But we're talking about the Final Four, baby. We're talking about the NFC Championship game. Winner moving on to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, where Niner fans, if San Francisco does advance, are going to take over Sin City. I don't think that Deebo is going to miss an opportunity to play in this game. And at the very least, can you use Deebo like the Packers used on Tavion Wicks, and you just use him as the motion man for him to at least pose a threat to the defense? I think that could be pretty smart. From one talking head in Stephen A. Smith to another in Colin Cowherd. Cowherd said the 49ers are the Raiders without Deebo Samuel. I think that's going a little bit too far. Now, again, his impact on this Niners offense is certainly profound. And you take a look at the numbers in his entire career since he was drafted in 2019, when he's been playing as compared to when he's been off the field. The Niners, no surprise here, much better team with Deebo as compared to him being injured. 53-23 when Deebo does play. That's good for a winning percentage of nearly 70%. The Niners, when Deebo is in uniform, average nearly 27 points per game. Keep in mind, big sample size there with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's not nearly as good as Brock Purdy. Rushing yards per game goes up dramatically, 138.5, and the turnover differential, +8 with Deebo, -8 without him. And the win-loss without Deebo, San Francisco, and these numbers include the playoffs, 8-9, a winning percentage of just 47% compared to 70. Points per game goes down from nearly 27 to just north of 24. Rushing yards per game cut from 138.5 to 118. Deebo Samuel is San Francisco's X factor, but him being out doesn't mean that San Francisco can't win. It's not taking anything away from Detroit. They are in the Final Four for a reason. They are a really good football team that is well coached and has a lot of talent, but just because Deebo might not play in this game doesn't mean that Detroit is a shoo-in to make it to the Super Bowl, because this San Francisco team is very, very talented. They're very, very experienced, and they're hungry after making it to 4 NFC title games in 5 years to punch their ticket to the big game. So what's your confidence level in the Niners winning if Deebo does not play? We're going to find out more Wednesday afternoon when Kyle Shanahan addresses the media. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1, not confident at all. 10, being very, very confident in San Francisco still being able to win. Let me know down below in the comment section. Today's 49ers Report is sponsored by Game Time. If you're looking for last-minute tickets to the big game, well, how about this $100 off for any user that buys a big game ticket? All you have to do is use the promo code Vegas100. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app. Create an account and use the code NinersChat. Check out Game Time. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. And again, if you're looking to go to the big game, $100 off your purchase if you use the code Vegas100. You can also get $20 off for other events if you use the code NinersChat. Best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. You get the vantage point from where you'll be sitting, and you can see the price point for those seats as well. Check it out today. This link is available down below in the comments section as well as in the show notes. And you don't just have to go to the big game. You don't have to just go to the Niners NFC Championship game, and there are tickets available for that as well. You can go to a Warriors game. You can go to comedy shows, concerts, whatever you want. Game Time has those tickets available. And again, $100 off the big game, Vegas 100, if you want to go, especially if San Francisco able to beat the Detroit Lions. To some 49ers coaching news now. Brian Griese, Clint Kubiak, both interviewing for the New Orleans Saints offensive coordinator job. Let's start off with Brian Griese here. I think this would be a big loss if he does end up leaving San Francisco. And his path, his rise in the coaching industry has been very, very interesting. Super Bowl 33 champion as a player, a Pro Bowler in 2000. He was the passer rating leader that year in 2000 as well. And then he gets into broadcasting, and he's doing a bunch of big games on ESPN as an analyst. And I thought he was really good in the booth, wearing the headset that I'm rocking. And then surprisingly, Kyle Shanahan hires him as his quarterback's coach. And over the last 2 years, he's done some really, really good work for this organization. Specifically, Brian Griese's work with Brock Purdy has moved the needle. He's elevated Purdy's game, and I've been extremely blown away with what Griese has been able to do with Purdy. And when other teams are looking for an offensive coordinator, they're looking at a couple of things. You're working under head coach Kyle Shanahan. The fingerprints for his offense littered across the entire NFL. What have you done with the most important position in sports? Quarterback. Griese has been able to develop Brock Purdy. And putting that on your resume, that can get you a job. And look at what Purdy's been able to do this year, contrary to what Ryan Clark and a bunch of other frauds who had these large platforms have to say about Purdy, especially in the aftermath of this Green Bay Packers win. Purdy in 2023, passing touchdowns 31. It's number 3 in the NFL. Yards per attempt, number 1 in the NFL at 9.6. Deep ball completion percentage. People try to tell me Brock Purdy has a noodle arm. He can't push the ball downfield. Well, deep ball completion percentage, number 1 in the NFL. Brock Purdy doesn't elevate his teammates. Well, when he's pressured, his completion percentage, number 4 in the National Football League at 63%. Brock Purdy, he's not clutch. He doesn't come through on big plays. Well, when the field gets condensed and the Niners are inside the red zone, his red zone completion percentage, number 2 in the NFL at 70.4%. So the accuracy, being able to diagnose what defenses do, that's clearly there as well. His true passer rating, also number 1 among all quarterbacks in the league at 113.4. QBR, number 1. EPA, number 1. And how about this? Going back to Brock Purdy not making his teammates any better, the target separation for his receivers this year, 2.12 yards. It's only 14th, middle of the pack among 32 teams in the NFL, and his deep ball catchable rate percentage, number 1 in the NFL. But I thought that he didn't stretch the field vertically. Brian Griese has also learned under head coach Kyle Shanahan, and the Shanahan trait. It's all over the NFL, from Sean McVay to Matt LaFleur and other teams, especially an organization like the New Orleans Saints, whose offense has been dormant over the last couple of years. They're looking for that offense to have modern-day concepts, to have creativity, to have innovation, to have what the great teams have. And in this case, San Francisco having a diverse offensive attack, and then Griese, experience as a player, experience at quarterback. He succeeded at quarterback, so he sees the game from that lens, and now he's having success as a coach. It'll be interesting to see if he does end up leaving the San Francisco organization. Same can be said for Clint Kubiak, who Kyle Shanahan brought in this offseason. And let's say this about Shanahan. I know he's come up small in some big spots. I know that he's blown some leads in fourth quarters of some big games as a coordinator and as a head coach during his tenure with San Francisco. He has a heck of an eye for coaching talent. From D'Amico Ryans to Mike McDaniel to Robert Saleh to some of these assistants getting jobs as well. Bobby Slowick, first-year offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. He's a young guy calling plays for C.J. Stroud. Now he's interviewing for head coaching jobs across the NFL. And Clint Kubiak, he's on that path. Interviewed for the Bears offensive coordinator job a little bit earlier this offseason. Chicago earlier this week going with Shane Waldron at OC over Kubiak, used to be the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and now Kubiak also alongside Greasy interviewing for the Saints OC job. Kubiak's path. The coaching lineage runs in the family. Son of longtime NFL head coach Gary Kubiak, last year Broncos quarterbacks coach and pass game coordinator when Nathaniel Hackett got fired. Kubiak then called plays at the end of the year, and I thought he did a pretty good job. And then the season before that, he was the Vikings offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Kubiak has experience calling plays with Denver, so teams look at that. He could be their next play caller, and now he's a part of that desirable Kyle Shanahan tree. Look, I know a lot of you are saying in the comment section, can teams stop taking away our front office executives like Adam Peters and our assistant coaches? This is what happens when you run one of the best businesses in the NFL. This is what happens when you have high-level success in the National Football League. Members of your organization are going to get poached because other teams are looking for that magic ingredient. Make sure you give me a follow on X. Give me a follow on Instagram. I've been putting up reels on IG, and they've been popping. And don't be a stranger. Slide into the DM, say what's up, and stay in the know with all things Niners year-round. Right here on the Niners Report, also on social media. All right, a good first segment and a good first audience. Let's get to 200 likes here. We are 11 away, and here's our Super Chat menu. $5, we're giving you a beer cheers. $10, your name goes on the Toby Willis helmet, and you get a gold sticker. $20, we're smacking some smelling salts. $50, a playoff punch bong. And $100, Gold Mine Hall of Fame. Because we have so many great people who are supporting the show here today.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Doing some smelling salts to wake up before segment number 2.
Who's going to be the first one? Who's going to kick us off tonight?
Let's get it. Producer Chip here to my right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yesterday, Trizzy was here. And today, it's Chip.
Yeah.
Recent commenter club, 49er super fan, Thomas Tatras, B-Side 86, Niner Babe 75, John Wallace, Edgar Mendez. Good to see all of you here. Now, we're only doing 2 segments. Only 2 segments today. So segment number 2 of 2 coming up here in just a moment.
What up, Thomas? B-Side Niner Babe.
Draco Pimpin, yo! Faulty Cal. Also in the chat. B-Side 86. Thank you, Chase, my dude. Hey, thank you for being here. All right, who's going to be the first person to send in a super chat? Fittingly, it's Words. It's John Wallace. Words with the deuce. Sent you an offensive and defensive suggestion. Check the chat. All right, let's see what you got here, Words.
What you got for us, Words?
Let's see what you got here, Words.
No, B-Side, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Here's Words of Wisdom's son, Luke. Holding America's flag.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. Awesome stuff. All right, John Wallace with the 5. The media. Go Niners. Bang, bang. You think we see Mason? Look, I don't think so. I think you see a steady dosage of Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, who also has playoff experience for whatever reason. And I guess it's somewhat understandable, but I don't like the strategy. I don't like the approach. Kyle Shanahan didn't play Jair Brown last week because of playoff inexperience. And then he puts in Logan Ryan, who whiffs on that Aaron Jones 53-yarder. I get that Logan Ryan has more experience. But who's the better player? It's Jair Brown. He's so much better than a nearly washed Logan Ryan. And it continues to confuse me why Jordan Mason doesn't play a lot for this Niners offense. I think the big reason, I've said this a lot, lack of pass rush protection for Jordan Mason. He's really good at running the ball, but as we know, Shanahan, very strict in being able to secure the nuances of the game. Like Brandon Ayuk was in the doghouse during the 2021 season because he wasn't a willing blocker. And now Brandon Ayuk has fully tapped into that ability. He's fully embraced that role, and he is a tremendous run blocker. as a wide receiver. Johnny Dubs, that's a beer cheers for you, my guy, out of the Niner mug.
Yes, sir. Johnny Dubs.
Big Hurt, $5 super chat on the way to work. F them little lion Cubs. Niners going to the Super Bowl. I like that. I haven't thought about a nickname for the Lions being Cubs, but that sounds pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The
Big
Cubs.
Hurt, always bringing the creativity, and as you can see with the profile picture, always bringing the energy as well. John Wallace, maybe we can see Ayuk on some jet sweeps. I wouldn't hate that if Deebo can't play. Find a way to be creative and get the ball in the hands of your best playmakers. You got to do it, and you got to be creative in the process.
Simple.
Dominic Jackson, they really sat the rookie. How do you get playoff experience? That's what I'm saying, Dominic. Ray Elam, we need to run the ball more. Brock Purdy throwing it 39 times in a rainstorm was crazy. I never really understood it. Didn't really understand it. The Kittens, the Detroit Kittens, the Detroit Cubs. You know what? Their last NFC Championship game win, I think, was against the Niners at Kezar Stadium. What's up with Javon Hargrave from Dominic? It's going to be a big game coming up for him and Eric Armstead. We're about to talk about that here just a little bit coming up in our next segment, so stay tuned. Oh, Chase, check this chat out here, bro. I checked you, or I tagged you in the Niners. One for the defense, one for the offense. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it in the chat here. He was making some suggestions offensively and defensively. But maybe his suggestions are in line with what we're about to talk about with our next segment. What did he say?
So on offense, he says, I got your winning formation if Deebo can't go. CMC in Deebo's role, Mitchell in McCaffrey's role with Juice leading the way, put Mason in there to ground and pound. That's on offense.
I talked about that a little bit yesterday, where you could get away with having McCaffrey in the slot, Elijah Mitchell in the backfield. As Words points out, you could have Jordan Mason in the backfield.
And then on defense, he says, I want to see Bosa run stunts inside the tackles with Warner setting the edge. I want to see Armstead outside with Chase Young inside while Dre Greenlaw blitzes off his hip.
And that's what kind of goes along with what Dominic said about Javon Hargrave. Jonah Jackson, left guard for Detroit, most likely out. And then Frank Ragnow, their all-pro center, he's going to be hobbled with the sprained knee, sprained ankle. So it could be a big game for Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. But as I said yesterday, too, and we were talking about that injury news, I would line up Nick Bosa on the inside, or like Words alludes to, run him on some stunts. Do the same thing with Chase Young. And you try to take advantage of that mismatch on the interior. And we're going to talk more about that. Segment number 2 coming up. Matchups to watch in the NFC Championship game. Let's do it. Harry Matthews, $5 super chat. Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Chase, why didn't the Niners shift Jalen Moore to right tackle this year? He's solid. Sometimes players aren't familiar with playing on that other side, and they continue to have faith in Colton McKivitz, even though he continues to get pushed back in the lap of Brock Purdy. Some of those great throws that Purdy made downfield, down the middle to Jawan Jennings, he had defenders in his lap because Colton McKivitz just getting driven back. They need to invest in right tackle this offseason. Draft or free agency. I think draft to get a good player in the first round and a cost-controlled asset over the next couple of years. That's what I'm doing. And then you have Colton McKivitz as a backup. That's what he is. He is a backup. Not a starting upper echelon right tackle in this league. We've seen a full sample size this year, which I think backs that up. All right, now, let's get to our matchups to watch. Segment number 2 coming up right now. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, a deep dive with some really great analysis. Matchups to watch between the Niners and the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. But first, speaking of that game, we're back, running it back for another watch party right here on the program on Sunday. And we're going to do another 2-hour pregame show. We'll be live for a portion of the AFC Championship game. We're going to lay the foundation, do a little preview for Niners-Lions, and our live coverage gets underway 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Do not miss it. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Therefore, when we do go live, you will be notified. Super Chat giveaways. We'll be taking down some drinks. The best place to experience the game outside of being at the actual game. And then once the game gets underway, real-time analysis and some electric play-by-play. To our matchups to watch between the Lions and the Niners. Let's start off at the quarterback position. Brock Purdy against Jared Goff. And who would have thought that in the Final Four, it would be Brock Purdy against Jared Goff, and the numbers for these two quarterbacks would be among some of the top performances that we saw in the 2023 season. Jared Goff this year throwing for more than 4,500 yards, second in the NFL, his 30 passing touchdowns, fourth in the NFL. And right on par with him, Brock Purdy. 4,200 plus passing yards. That was fifth in the National Football League. 31 passing touchdowns, just ahead of Jared Goff, coming in at number 3. And when I scout Jared Goff, this is what I've seen this year, but I also want to pair what he did in 2023 with what he did on the back half of last year, because he was really good after the midway point as the Lions started to find a groove, and they won a lot of games down the stretch, nearly making it into the playoffs. And that's why going into the offseason, going into this year, I really like Detroit to win the NFC North for the first time since 1991, because last year I saw they were well coached. They have a couple of really good coordinators and position coaches, but some talent on that football team. And Jared Goff has been better than anybody anticipated him being from when he got traded from the Rams to the Detroit Lions. So over the last year and a half, Jared Goff has been a fringe top 10 quarterback in this league. And he's been elevated by a great offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson, who's basically going to be able to sign a blank check to become a head coach for whichever organization he wants to go to. He's going to be able to pick his spot. He could link up with Adam Peters, former Niners assistant general manager, and the Washington Commanders, or again, he's going to have his selection for where he wants to go. His creativity, his play designs, combined with Goff's play, but also a loaded offense at running back, wide receiver, tight end, and offensive line has been the perfect storm for this Lions offense to be the number 5 overall offense in the National Football League this year. And with Goff, he throws what I like to call a pillow ball. It's a soft football where he throws with touch and accuracy. It's not like a Josh Allen bazooka or a Lamar Jackson rifle. He just kind of layers balls in there, and they're easy to catch for his targets. And that touch allows him to be really accurate, targeting the middle area of the field and from the numbers in, kind of like Brock Purdy. The thing with Jared Goff, which could allow San Francisco to have the edge on Detroit, he's not mobile. And we know that the Niners really struggle with mobile quarterbacks. If they can get a pass rush on Jared Goff, he's prone to making mistakes, but he's always confined to the pocket, and he's not going to burn you with getting out to the perimeter and making plays out of structure. So my keys for this Niners defense to limit and stop Goff in the NFC title game, get an interior pass rush. Jonah Jackson, their left guard, most likely out. He gave up no pressures in 25 pass rush snaps last week against the Buccaneers. His replacement gave up 7 pressures. So immediately there was a drop-off there. Then their all-pro center, Frank Ragnow, is most likely going to play, but he's dealing with a sprained knee and a sprained ankle. So if you get that interior pass rush right up the middle on Jared Goff, he can make mistakes, and he's not going to be able to operate and maneuver inside the pocket, step up, and it also takes away the middle area of the field. It clouds his vision with that muddy pocket. And if you move Jared Goff off his spot, he's not a tremendous athlete where he can drop his arm down to multiple different arm angles like a Jordan Love can, and he's not really going to get out to the edge and make crazy throws on the run, and he's not going to burn you with his legs. So he can carve you with the clean pocket. But if you're right in his face and he feels as though he doesn't have a stable base on his lower half, Jared Goff can get a little inaccurate, and he can throw some wobblers, and you can pick him off. And then you look at his advanced metrics here. This is what I'm talking about. When Jared Goff is pressured, he has a completion percentage of 53.1%. That's 20th in the NFL. But his clean pocket completion percentage is 70.5. It's number 6 in the NFL. So from 6 to 20, from having a muddy pocket to a clean pocket. His deep ball completion percentage, pretty damn good. Number 6 in the NFL. Brock Purdy, number 1. And his true completion percentage, 74%. That's 5th in the NFL. What I also want to take a look at are his indoor-outdoor splits. Goff plays at Ford Field in Detroit, indoor stadium. And this year, in 11 games indoors, he's been much better compared to playing outdoors. 69% inside, almost 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 picks. He's been sacked 15 times, has a great rating of 104. And then he goes outside. His completion percentage goes down about 5 points to 64.5%. His yards go down. His touchdown interception ratio is 7-4. And for those of you saying, well, Chase, the sample size is cut in half. Well, how about if you double up those 6 games to 12 games, which nearly matches the 11 games indoors? That's still a touchdown to interception ratio of 14-8. Not great. And he's still been sacked 15 times in those 6 games. So if you double that up, he holds onto the football when he gets pressured, and that's the importance of getting home to Jared Goff, and then you see the rating go down from 104 to 87.9. It's going to be a homecoming for the former number 1 pick in Jared Goff. He went to Cal. He also went to Marin Catholic in Kentfield. So he's somewhat familiar with the weather conditions, but again, it's going to be a raucous environment at Levi Stadium. And then on the other side of this quarterback matchup, you take a look at what Brock Purdy's been able to do this year. To any of the haters who don't think that he's legit, you're a casual and you haven't watched games this year. How can you not be impressed with the figures that Purdy has put up this year in his second season in the NFL and in his first year as a full-time starter in this league? Number 3 in passing touchdowns, number 1 in yards per attempt, number 1 in deep ball completion percentage, 4th in pressured completion percentage, red zone completion percentage is number 2. When the field gets condensed, he thrives. True passer rating, number 1. QBR, number 1. EPA, number 1. But his target separation for his receivers, 14th. So he's had to fit the ball in some tight windows, and he's still put up these numbers. He's still had success, and his deep ball catchable rate, 61.7%, number 1. Ryan Clark tried to tell me he didn't elevate his teammates. Well, the deep ball catchable rate and all these other numbers, they prove otherwise. With that, with this quarterback matchup, who has a better game on Sunday? Is it Jared Goff type JG? Is it Brock Purdy type BP? Let me know down below in the comment section. As always, sound off with what you think. We always appreciate having your feedback down below because we know you're all smart football fans. Matchup to watch number 2. Let's go to the coordinators here. Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, against Steve Wilks, the 49ers defensive coordinator. How Detroit stacks up on both sides of the ball. This offense, very, very good. And they've been pretty electric in 2 years with Ben Johnson calling plays. 5th in points per game, a tad under 27. 3rd in yards per game. 3rd in yards per play. 10th in third down percentage. And then 2nd in red zone percentage, meaning when they get inside the 20, they're scoring a touchdown at about a 66% clip. Very, very good. But this Detroit defense can be had, and Kyle Shanahan has to coach better, and Brock Purdy has to play better than that pairing performed on Saturday against Green Bay. Detroit's defense, 23rd in points per game, giving up 23 an outing, 20th in yards per game surrendered, 27th in yards per play given up, 10th in third down percentage, which is pretty good, but teams, when they get inside the red zone this year, are scoring a touchdown at nearly a 63% rate. That's 27th in the NFL. And going back to this Lions offense, this is why Jared Goff has been able to have a good year. You have the great play caller and play designer in Ben Johnson. You have Jared Goff, who's been feeling himself, feeling very confident, and then you have just a loaded team. Two-headed monster at running back in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Amon-Ra St. Brown, very good wide receiver who usually lines up in the slot, occasionally can be the X on the perimeter. Jamison Williams is your vertical threat. Khalif Raymond, a good backup wide receiver in this league. Josh Reynolds has height and length. He can go up and get it. Sam Laporta has had a great rookie year, and for the next 8 to 10 years, he's going to be one of the best tight ends in football. And they also have more depth at tight end. We talk about Jared Goff, him having a homecoming, going back to NorCal. Zach Ertz, homecoming for him, just signed with the Lions this week. If he gets elevated to the practice squad, he could play as their backup tight end, longtime veteran, 3-time Pro Bowler, and a former Super Bowl champion. I know I have voiced some concerns about this Niners defense. You have as well, and they do have some holes. But I think that during Saturday's game against Green Bay, the Niners kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they cost themselves. And if they can clean up some of these miscues that were pointed out by Kyle Posey of Niners Nation, who does a fantastic job of covering San Francisco with analysis and analytics, then I think the Niners can be okay. And you think about some of the miscues and self-inflicted wounds that happened during Saturday's game. First drive, Ambry Thomas committed a defensive pass interference on a 3rd and 6. Second drive, Tashawn Gibson got flagged for defensive pass interference on a 2nd and 10, and Charvarius Ward slipped when guarding Romeo Doubs en route to a 38-yard completion. Third drive, there was a coverage bust on the first play. It left Jaden Reed wide open for a 27-yard gain. On the fourth drive, Ambry Thomas committed a 41-yard defensive pass interference penalty on 3rd and 15, where he ran into the wide receiver, didn't address the football in time, and then Tashawn Gibson slips on the next play. That's what gave up the 19-yard touchdown. Fifth drive starts at the 20 after a 73-yard return for Green Bay. So that was the special teams breakdown for the Niners. That's a worrisome unit. Sixth drive, nothing crazy happened, but Trey Greenlaw intercepted Jordan Love on a 3rd and 11. Seventh drive, 49ers played good defense. They forced a punt. Eighth drive, Aaron Jones made Logan Ryan miss when he over-pursued on a one-on-one, and then he scampered for 53 yards. And then the ninth drive, Trey Greenlaw sealed the game with an interception. So if San Francisco is able to clean up some of these head-scratching, self-inflicted wounds, penalties, mistakes, they are all avoidable. And if they can play better against Detroit than they did against Green Bay during some critical junctures of the football game, they can make it to Super Bowl 58. And then as part of this coordinator matchup, the head coaching matchup is something we're going to monitor as well. Kyle Shanahan is very conservative at moments, and I hate it. Dan Campbell, also known as Dan Gamble, can be a gambler. He can be very aggressive. And is Kyle Shanahan's conservative approach going to cost him, or is Dan Campbell's overly aggressive approach going to cost him? Kyle being conservative could allow the Niners to win. Campbell being overly aggressive could lead to a Lions win. Remember that when you're watching this game on Sunday, because these are two different coaches on two different sides of the spectrum. Predict the score between the Lions and the Niners. I do think San Francisco wins this game. I think it's going to be 35-30, somewhere in that realm, and it's going to be an offensive shootout. Today's 49ers Report, by the way, is sponsored by Game Time. If you're looking for last-minute tickets to the NFC Championship game at Levi's Stadium, wait it out a little bit. Because with the Game Time app, prices drop as the event gets closer, and you're guaranteed to get the lowest price at the last possible moment. There are still tickets available for Niners-Lions on Sunday for the right to play in the big game. And with Game Time, it's not just NFL tickets that you can find. You can find NBA tickets, Major League Baseball, college football, NHL, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, anything that you need, Game Time can get you hooked up. Couple of deals we want to tell you about. You can get $20 off using the code NinersChat. Or if the Niners advance and you want to go to the big game in Las Vegas, you can get $100 off. And this is for any user if you use the code BIGGAME or you use the code Vegas100 for the big game. That's code Vegas100 to go to the big game in Las Vegas. Hopefully the Niners are there, and I'll be there covering the football team. And hopefully we're going to be able to do that because our coverage will be absolutely fantastic. Game Time app. You can see where you'll be sitting, the price point for those seats. All of that information available for you down in the comment section, as well as in the description of this video. Matchup to watch number 3. Let's go to an unheralded member of this Niners secondary. A player who the real ones know is very, very good. It's Deommodore Lenoir, who's going to be matched up a lot with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a very, very good wide receiver. And Deommodore Lenoir, over the last couple of years, has had the opportunity to get a lot of reps in the playoffs, and he has taken advantage of those opportunities. Demo has allowed just a 19.6 passer rating when targeted in the playoffs throughout his entire career. And how about the hit that he put on Jordan Love when Jordan Love was clearly still in bounds? And how about the performance for Demo against Green Bay? 8 yards allowed on 4 targets, a passer rating given up of just 56.3 when he was targeted, 0 touchdowns allowed, and a Pro Football Focus coverage grade of 78.8. He will have his hands full with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And both of these players, similar in height and stature, but Amon-Ra St. Brown over the last couple of years has turned into a very good wide receiver in this league. And in 2023, probably his best season up to date. 119 catches, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, a long of 70. Ben Johnson does a great job of putting him in positions to succeed. Perimeter wide receiver in the slot, used as a motion man, and Demo's going to be following him throughout much of the game. Matchup number 4, Aiden Hutchinson, number 2 pick in the draft 2 years ago, edge rusher for Detroit, against Colton McKivitz, the right tackle. The Detroit Lions have watched a lot of film already. They know that the weakness along this Niners offensive line lies at right tackle. And Aiden Hutchinson is going to be lined up a lot against Colton McKivitz. This year in year 2, a year after having 10.5 sacks, Hutchinson was once again very, very good. And the Michigan native who went to Michigan has had an opportunity to see this Lions team turn it around, and the place was raucous as Detroit able to punch their ticket to the NFC title game for the first time since 1991. Hutchinson in year 2, 11.5 sacks, 33 quarterback hits, 67 hurries, and my goodness, 101 pressures. He is one of the best edge rushers in the game, and he has been early in his career, making good on him being that number 2 pick. And Colton McKivitz, how many times this year have we seen him get driven back and pushed back right into Brock Purdy's lap? That can lead to errant throws. That can lead to dead ducks. That can lead to wobblers. That can lead to overthrows across the middle area of the field, which can result in turnovers. And we know that San Francisco, 10-0 this year when they don't turn the football over. So Colton McKivitz, another big game going up against another really good edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson. Sticking with edge rusher against right tackle, Nick Bosa against Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell is a player who the Lions drafted early a few years ago out of Oregon. And in order for a team to really get back to a winning formula, you have to hit on some of these early picks. Detroit's been able to do that really in all rounds. But when you take advantage of the premium picks, like the Lions have done with Sewell, like they did with Hutchinson, like the Niners did with Nick Bosa and a couple of other players, it puts you back in contention because these are building blocks for your team. And in order for San Francisco to win this game, Nick Bosa is going to have to be the dominant player that he has shown the ability to be. And this Niners defensive line is going to have to ball out in this game against a very good Detroit offensive line that is a little bit banged up. Bosa this year, the number's a little bit down. He had 18.5 sacks a year ago, and he won Defensive Player of the Year. This year, still had 95 pressures and 60 hurries, but the sack number's down a little bit to 10.5. He had 35 quarterback hits as well. But he's going to be going up against one of the best, if not the best, right tackle in the game in Penei Sewell, and this is going to be a star-studded matchup. For football nerds out there, sometimes I take great joy in not watching the football. Now, during the watch parties, I do have to watch the football because I'm doing play-by-play, but do yourselves a favor. Watch Nick Bosa and his raw ability against the athleticism of Sewell. It is a joy to watch two greats, iron sharpening iron, go up against one another, perfecting their crafts. Sewell here in 2023, overall Pro Football Focus grade of 90.7. That's even higher than Trent Williams. A pass blocking grade of 78.1, run blocking grade of 93.1. This has come on 674 pass blocking snaps. He's only given up 1 sack, so providing really good protection for Jared Goff. Hits allowed only 5, pressures allowed just 20, and 7 penalties. In order for the Niners to win, and we go back to the importance earlier on the show of me talking about how Jared Goff simply is not the same quarterback when he's under siege because he starts to second-guess things. He holds onto the football. He double clutches. The accuracy takes a dip when he's pressured, when he's getting hit, when he's getting sacked. The Niners need Nick Bosa to be Defensive Player of the Year Nick Bosa in this football game. You're paying a lot of big money to Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. You traded for Chase Young. This is when you earn your money. And if the Niners earn their money up front, they're going to advance to the Super Bowl. Those are my key matchups. What are your key matchups to watch for in Sunday's NFC Championship game? Tilt. We want to hear from the faithful as always. Thanks for watching the show, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's go. That got me fired up, man. We did our preview on Sunday, but a more in-depth look at this game, that has me fired up. $10 super chat coming in from James Yoder. Preston Yoder says, chat, crushing it, Chase. San Francisco! For those of you who don't know, that's my boss, James Yoder, and the jawline looking fantastic there in the profile picture. Words of wisdom with the 5. Chase, Kyle, and Wilkes. Deploy my game plan. We win big. Remember, the Lions are game planning on what was not what it. Reduce the Lions to kittens. Spray and neuter. That's pretty funny. Spray and neuter. So James sent in the $10 super chat. He is going to go on the Toby Willis helmet. We already have words of wisdom on there. So JY gets a gold sticker. Words, thank you for that 5. That is a beer cheers from me. Cheers. And let's go to Anthony's $2 super chat. The old guys and stopping the run will decide it. You're talking about the offensive line guys. I agree. Colton McKivitz has to play very well. John Feliciano has played well. That's good and a good development. Jake Brendel's played well. You know what you're getting from Aaron Banks and Trent Williams. They're premier players. So the offensive line, they step up, and you stop the run. You force Jared Goff to pass. That's a winning formula right there. No doubt about it. All right, last call for any super chats.
Let's go.
Last call for any super chats. Get them in right now. 2-minute super chat shot clock. You send in a super. That extends the show, and we're down to hang out for a little while.
Yes, sir. TFL Slayer thinks that McCaffrey's going to have more yards than Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery combined.
Wow. I hope so. Something tells me that the Niners can win in a blowout. Something tells me they can win in a blowout.
It's the Lions, dude.
Yeah.
It's the Lions.
They've overachieved. They don't have a lot of playoff experience. They're on the road. Last week was their Super Bowl. First NFC title game since 1991. And the Niners have been here. It's felt as though it's a season of destiny for San Francisco. Words of wisdom, resetting the super chat shot clock. This is pretty cool. Chase, I found my 1994 Niners parka. Gonna wear it. Send me a picture of that. I want to see it.
It's dope, dope, dope.
It's awesome words. And we reset the super chat shot clock in the process just about a minute and change in. So let's reset it here. Super chat extends the show. We did get to $200+ in super chats yesterday. I don't think we're going to get there today, but it's all good. Very rarely do we go live back-to-back days. But we're giving you the best coverage all throughout this week. Back-to-back.
Best you're going to get, baby.
Back-to-back. B-Side 86, only person on the Kittens that has Super Bowl or true playoff experience is Goff. Yeah, and he didn't play well in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Bad. TFL Slayer, W Chase. W for you, my man. W for you, my man. What else are people saying? Tony Blaze, Niners fan since 82. Greg Smith, 44-6, Niners win.
Woo! That'd be something.
Gina G, let's go Niners. Tanjan Zoo, for sure it's a blowout and the Niners win. I love it, Tanjan. Do we line up another tight end on the McKivitz side? Yes, you do. You continue to give a little chip to that edge rusher. You give them the Jake Chipper right on the edge.
Give him a little 1-2. Slow him down.
Luigi said at 31-17, Niners, Anthony P. I say the Lions are going to run all over the Niners. Lions running all over the Niners. 49ers have made it plenty of times to the Super Bowl. It helps that Goff won't be nervous, unlike Purdy, which will get nervous. I mean, he's playing in back-to-back NFC Championship games. I don't think he was nervous. I think the rain was just affecting him throwing the football because we've seen he struggles to throw a wet pill. Genie! $20 super chat. Who Nick. That's awesome, Nick. First, let's go back to Jeannie's. She said, who do you think can help McKivitz to protect Brock the Rock? 42-17, Niners win. Yeah, you put out Charlie Warner. You put out George Kittle. Maybe you have Jawan Jennings line up in the slot. Little crash on that edge, and then he goes out for a route. Christian McCaffrey can help in pass pro as well. Couple of different options right there, Jeannie. Jeannie, very smart question. Nick Dofer, Gold Mine Hall of Fame member. 49ers are going to clean house and be in the Super Bowl for our much-needed Super Bowl victory. Bang! Bang! Niner gang! Nick. Thank you for the $100 super chat. Nick, we got to do a playoff punch bomb for you. We just got to do it. And that gets us 24 away. 24 away from $200 in super chats. We did, I think, 224 on yesterday's show. Can we beat that here today? Lyle! Good to hear from another real one right here. Niners defensive line better put Goff on his ass or their wide receivers are going to have a big day. Remember, the defensive line is supposed to take pressure off the DBs. And Lyle's exactly right. Lyle knows ball. You get pressure on the quarterback, right? And then seamlessly, what happens in return? You get pressure on the quarterback. He doesn't have time to survey the field, pick you apart. It makes the back end's job a lot easier. Now, I have confidence in Charvarius Ward. I have confidence in Diamador Lenore. Ambry Thomas a little bit shaky, but down the stretch he was very good. Is he due for a bounce-back game? Let's hope so. But the Niners defensive line, San Francisco has invested heavily into that position group. It's time for them to eat. This is for the faithful. Thanks for supporting the show. And we're going to reset the Super Chat shot clock here. We're resetting it to 1 minute. Resetting it to 1 minute. Cheers to the gang.
Chug.
Bag, Niner gang. That's the E40 impersonation. Couple of 20s as well. We got to do some smelling salts here.
Woo!
Woo!
That'll get you going, baby.
Dominic Jackson, I want Deebo to run through C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So do I. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, a very instinctual player. Him and Deebo have a lot of beef. There's no doubt. Words of wisdom. Here's another 2. Niners going to go Bob Barker and spay and neuter the Lions. Is that the uppercut in Happy Gilmore? Is that what you're referencing there, Words? 5 seconds left on the minute shot clock. Who's going to continue the show, if anybody?
Josh sent you a picture?
Josh sent me a picture on Instagram. All right, let's see it, Josh. That extends the Super Chat shot clock. Let's see what we got. Nice outfit here for Josh. McCaffrey jersey. He's got some Niner pants. Looking good, man. Looking good. My game day fit. Good stuff right there. Anthony! We're 22 away from 200. If we get to 200, I'm doing another playoff punch bong.
Woo!
Anthony, Niners, 31-24 if they stop the run and force picks. If Price Picks has Jared Goff more or less a half pick, I like the more. I like the more.
Easy.
Bob Barker from The Price is Right. Of course I know that. But Bob Barker was in Happy Gilmore, and him and Happy got into an epic fight in that movie, is what I meant. All right, another minute on the clock.
Can we get to 200?
You know what's crazy?
200.
I appreciate all the support that we've gotten here on the Niners Report, as well as y'all who follow me on social media. I've had Smash Mouth follow me, the band, and they're commenting on my Niners post on Instagram. And then I had Jeremy Renner liking my tweets on the Niners. This has been crazy. It's been crazy.
It's gotten wild.
In the words of Dickie V. Jeannie White, I found my Joe Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. Nice. Lavelle, what's up? Go Niners, go. What's up, Lavelle? Pascal Martinez, what's the word on Deebo? Whoa. 50-50 for whether or not he's going to go against Detroit on Sunday. Kyle Shanahan said there's no break, there's no fracture. He did not break his shoulder, but still in a lot of pain. He's going to know more for his status tomorrow, Wednesday, when he addresses the media. Nick Dolfer, 49ers are global. Yeah, they are. There's like 40 million people who tuned in Saturday night, I think, to Niners Packers. B-Side 86, I love that movie. Awesome movie. Awesome movie. All right, are we about to sign off? David Marcella, what's up, boys? F Trizzy.
F
Trizzy's
Trizzy.
not on the show, but yeah, F Trizzy.
F Trizzy. It's
F
always
Trizzy.
F Trizzy.
Is anybody going to extend the show? 22 away from 200. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Pascal Martinez, do you think that we can win without Deebo? We did a segment on that earlier on the live show. I do think so. It's going to be hard. And the splits with and without Deebo are pretty crazy. I'll read them out for you here. With Deebo, the Niners, Johnny Dobbs gets us to 200. I'll do another playoff punch bong. But Pascal, with Deebo in his career, Niners 53-23. They've won 69.7% of their games. They've averaged 26.8 points per game, 138.5 rushing yards per game, turnover differential +8. Without him, 8-9, 47% winning percentage, 24.2 points per game, 118 rushing yards per game, turnover differential, 16-point difference pretty much, -8 to +8. So it's going to be difficult if he cannot play. I just find it hard to believe that he's not going to play, given what's at stake. Johnny Dobbs, Lyle Bolliard, Niner Empire against the world, San Francisco. We're 15 away from beating yesterday's mark in Super Chats.
Come on, baby.
And I did say we got past 200. I was doing another playoff punch bomb.
Let's beat it. Let's beat it.
Nick Dolfer, our Super Chat MVP today, $100 donation, Goldmine Hall of Fame member. Jeannie said the Lions have no chance. I can't wait for Sunday. Can't wait for Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be an awesome game.
All right, we're going to sign off here. Oh! Nick Dolfer does it again. Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. That beats our number from yesterday. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Now we're up to 234.
Nick.
We beat it. We beat it. We beat it. We beat it. Gina G clapping it up for Nick. Everybody type Nick in the chat. Boom shakalaka.
Not done yet. I love that. That old NBA jam.
Boom,
Boom
shakalaka. And if we're keeping it with NBA, Chase Sr. brings the ball up court. 5 seconds left. Sends it into the corner. Nick Dolfer for three. Bang! It's good! Nick Dolfer lifts the Niners to a victory on the hardwood. There you go, Nick. Nick Dolfer, what a legend.
At the buzzer.
Clip that, Nick. All right, now we're going to sign off. Awesome show as always. We will be back on Thursday, and then after that, we'll be back on Sunday. 2-hour pregame show for Niners, Lions, NFC Championship game. Only did 2 segments today, but it was a blast being able to chop it up with all of the Niner gang, all of the faithful, and the Niner Empire. We put out 2 videos on Monday, 2 on Sunday, 2 today, 2 tomorrow. We're crushing it this week. Wouldn't be possible without all of your support. So for Chip, I'm Chase. For the Bang Bang Niner gang, we out. Peace.